everyone, it's Dave again. Right, now working on the bike, come back out today, and my intention today, now you can see the bike there in the frame. I've got it upside down on the carpet as before. Now what I intended to do was to fit this bit of kit, which is the centre stand. Now I've got the bolts for it, but what I can't find is the spring. Now I do have one spring, but that spring is actually for the side stand. So the side stand here I've got, and I've got its bolts, so I'm going to fit the side stand. And but I can't fit the centre stand, which is a bit of a nuisance. So okay, I have to buy another spring. Now this is the what would you call it? It's the rear swing arm. Now as you can see, this is a shaft drive bike, so it has one side is a tunnel, and as you can see here, there is the shaft that goes down the tunnel to drive the bike, and here is the final drive. Now I have to mount the swing arm onto the bike first. As you can see, the swing arm, you have to, it doesn't have a shaft going right through the middle here. It has two taper roller bearings. Right, these are held in by these big screw bolts. Right, there's two of those, and as you can see, this one is slightly damaged, which is a bit of a nuisance, so I can only put it in from one side. And then it has these lock nuts which go over the end to hold them in place, and then the swing arm, it rotates on those taper roller bearings which go in either side there, as you can see. Okay, now I'm going to mount that onto the bike, and then once that's on the bike, I can put the rear wheel on and the final drive, and obviously the two rear spring damper units. But I think that's as far as I'm likely to get today. Now I bought the bike several years ago in bits, so it's in boxes of bits. Didn't pay very much for it. There's a pile of bits here, as you can see, and a pile of bits here, and those are some of the boxes. And in fact, the amount of money I paid for the bike is about as much as the exhaust system would have cost, and the bike actually came with a fairly new 4-into-1 Motad exhaust system, which actually probably would have cost more than what I paid for the entire bike in bits. So I'm gradually reassembling it, but it would appear some of the parts aren't here, which is a bit of a pain. Luckily, I've been able to find most parts are still available from Suzuki spares dealers. Anyway, I'll get back to you when I've got a bit further. Thanks, bye. Hi, right, well, I've made a little bit of progress. So, what you can see here is I've got the side stand on, and that seems to work quite well. And then I've also managed to get the swing arm on. And as you can see, it's got one of the spring damper units on. The other one goes on this side and attaches to the final drive, which isn't bolted on yet. So I've got these big screw bolts on either side of the spring arm that hold in the taper roller bearings, and getting them centered and tight but not too tight was a right pain in the ass, but that's done now. And well, as you can see, it's got a little bit of movement, but not very much. Okay, next job is to put on the rear wheel with the final drive. And then I can turn the bike back upright. Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Here you can see that I've reattached the final drive. It is held on by 3 nuts, and you must use a torque wrench to tighten these to the correct torque, as this is safety critical. Remember when the bike is back upright and ready to ride that you must first refill the final drive with the correct Hypoid gear oil SAE90 API GL5. Do not use engine oil. The final drive is a spiral bevel drive. These are used because they are quieter and smoother than straight cut gears. Unlike the gears in a motorcycle gearbox, where each tooth measures along its full length with a tooth on the next gear, the spiral gears in the final drive impart motion from the shaft to the crown wheel by sliding along each other. A hypoid gear oil has special high shear strength additives to cope with this. You can see here, there's a picture coming up. I will be using a Castrol hypoid gear oil that I originally bought for my old Jaguar. If you use engine oil in the final drive, the gear teeth will wear quickly to metal shavings. The flange between the swing arm and the final drive requires a sealant of some kind, and I have used Hylamar Red Hylatite as shown here. It tends to squeeze out the sides, but I can peel the excess off later. I should also mention here, if you are tempted to dismantle one of these bikes by turning it upside down like this, that you must drain the final drive oil first. Otherwise the oil will piss all over your floor out of a breather hole at the top of the final drive. Right now everyone, I'm just going to walk you round the bike, firstly whilst it's still upside down and then back upright. You can see I've used half of the rear caliper with the torque arm in order to get in place the caliper mounting flange, which is attached to the rear axle with the wheel. There's the final drive. You can see the Hylatite is squeezed out of the flange, but that's easily removable. The wheel turns okay on its new bearings. It's not as free moving as I would have expected, but that may be because I'm also turning the final drive as I manhandle it like that. So the next thing to do is to turn the thing back up onto its two wheels. And here it is. It's almost looking like a motorcycle. So I'm quite pleased. I've got the wheels back on, the suspension back on. Obviously that caliper needs more work. It'll need to be taken off and reassembled and then put back. There's the final drive. I've got both of the spring damper units back on, the side stand back on, and well, you know, it's almost, well, not quite, but it's almost looking like a motorcycle. There's the Katana mudguard I had to source separately, didn't come with the bike, which was a bit irritating. Now as we move round to the handlebars, you can see the fairly basic instrumentation on this older model bike. It doesn't come with a fuel gauge or anything particularly exciting. The switch gear is a little bit faded from the sun and quite old-fashioned, but it's pretty typical of a early 1980s bike. Well, quite a bit more to do, as you can probably tell. Got to need an engine and got to need a gearbox and a seat and a tank and, well, who knows what else. So a hell of a lot of work to do. Not sure when I'll get round to it, but just watch out on my channel for future updates. Thanks very much all. Bye.